He is a first-round pick out of USC, Anthony Muñoz.
There's 100 unbelievable players that are going to be on this board.
Yes.
There's not one of them that's going to end up on that board I would trade for him. I'm talking about one of the great athletes that has ever put on a helmet in the National Football League, sitting right there.
I was going to be a Major League Baseball player.
Okay.
I was going to be a third baseman or a pitcher. Brooks Robinson or Juan Marichal. That's what I was going to do.
Looking at this picture of you over here and all this tape you have on, and I'm looking at you talk, and I'm looking at that finger.
Yeah, no.
It didn't work.
You need more tape.
Bad tape, man.
Oh, God, look at that thing.
The legend of the Pro Football Hall of Famer, Anthony Muñoz, joining us here on NFL Now. Anthony, thanks for coming on in a complicated time, right? All around the world, everybody's trying to consider how they're going to go about going back to work, whether they should. Players are having to make that decision as well. How do you think they should handle it?
Well, first of all, Patrick, thanks for having me on. They are tough times. I mean, we're having to readjust routines, readjust things we do, and it's going to be a tough call. I mean, you know, when a time and when you can't gather that many, and all of a sudden you're looking at, you know, stadiums that hold thousands and thousands of fans, you know, where they want you social distancing. And football is a sport where you got 11 guys in a huddle and you go to the line of scrimmage and you're blocking and tackling and spend a lot of time on top of each other. You know, so there's a lot that's going into making the call. And I think when it's all said and done, hopefully the right call, either to play or not play, is the right decision. But I know as someone that played the game and is a fan of the game, I want to see some football.
Anthony, as a part of the game, as a part of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you're a big part of what was going to happen this summer. We had a great Hall of Fame class that we don't get to see inducted this year. How did you feel about the decision to delay everything, being such a big part of the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Well, you know, when decisions are made like that, all the time you're looking at health first, the health of people. And I think when those decisions are made, that they're taking the health of people, you know, to be the number one concern. So it was very disappointing because it was a great, great class. I mean, we had more guys going in this year. You know, it's always a great time to go up and introduce and welcome the new class. But, you know, with it being, you know, canceled, all we can do is say, okay, we're going to readjust things. We're going to reset. And next year, it's going to be unbelievable. The week up there is going to be amazing. And we're just going to welcome that class officially and have a great time up in Canton, Ohio. So, you know, you can sit around and be upset, but let's just, you know, as a former offensive lineman, there was times where, you know, we called a play, went to the line of scrimmage, the right defense wasn't there, so you had to audibilize and run something different. Now, that's what we have to do as a nation. You audibilize, and you have to be prepared to make an adjustment.
Your franchise running something different, had the #1 overall pick. They're able to get Joe Burrow, who had arguably the best college football season for a quarterback in the history of the game. Anthony, how do you see the season playing out for a rookie who's having to come in and deal with all of this uncertainty?
Yeah. Well, I think it's always tough for rookies to come in and to really produce and perform at the highest level, and really being a #1 pick, that's what you're expected to do. Now the fact that Joe has not had OTAs, he's not going to probably have a lot of camp or preseason games, that puts so much more pressure on the young man. He's going to have some bumps in the road. Hopefully they're not you know, major ones. You always do as a rookie. I feel good about him coming in. From everything I've heard, you know, he's a very smart young man. He's been picking it up. So it's one thing to pick it up and to know the system, but it's the reps that really brings you along. So hopefully, you know, the reps he does get before playing a game will help out, and he can adjust, you know, accordingly. He's got some new pieces on that offense. He's got some veterans that can help. A.J. Green's back. You got Joe Mixon. You know, you got a couple older linemen, some young linemen, but hopefully that things can come together. And like I said, the adjustments and the bumps in the road won't be tremendous.
And Anthony, you mentioned reps. There's not going to be any preseason game reps, but you'll have those practice reps. How do you think that plays into his development?
Well, it depends on, you know, what kind of speed those reps are taken at. You know, I know a lot of times as offensive lineman, you need some full speed reps. I mean, not that you have to go out there and go an hour full speed every day, but you're going to need some full reps. You're going to need some, you know, for a quarterback to see that pass rush coming in his face, to sit there and throw on this level. So those are very important. So, Again, it depends on the speed of the reps. The fact that there's not going to be a preseason, do they go a little more intense during practice and speed up the reps? That would be very helpful if that happens.
And one of the guys he'll have an opportunity to work with in practice is A.J. Green, a longtime Bengal. He said he wants to play 4 more years and retire as a Bengal. How do you see his performance here in the past few years, and what do you think we can see from A.J. Green?
Well, I think if we can keep A.J. healthy, of course, he missed all last year with an injury, didn't even play one down, got hurt in the very first practice. I think that's going to be a key. I'm excited that he's back. The guy is an amazing wide receiver. The work ethic is amazing. And talking to the wide receivers coaches in the past, that is what you like for your younger guys, and the fact the way he works and the way he gets after it. So if he can continue to be that leader and be that productive wide receiver, it's going to help number 9, our number 1 pick. And so I'm excited. I know a lot of people are excited about A.J. Green being back and really hoping for good things for the young man.
Anthony, tell us what you're doing with a victory beyond competition.
Well, I think now, we've talked about the COVID and the readjustments and with routines and cutting out preseason and OTAs. There's a lot of losses. I look at my NFL career, I had 2 major losses, Super Bowl 16 and 23. But it's a matter of what you're doing. And for me, to be involved in this cultural campaign dedicated to sharing with all people, not just players, coaches, but parents, really, where you're looking, beyond wins and losses. And for me, I learned that early in my career. I can use the phrase, and I live by the phrase, I experienced victory beyond competition when I realized that God was my primary audience. He was the one that motivated me to play, and he was the one that gave me the talent. And I've carried that through life as a dad, as a husband, now as a grandfather, as a community member. And I think that's what we're trying to do, is allow people to step back in the same way I was able to finish that phrase. I experienced victory beyond competition, as I just shared with you, to let people look at that phrase and you make your own ending of that sentence. How have you been able to experience victory beyond competition? So if you go to victorybeyondcompetition.org, you can learn more about the campaign. You can learn more about how you can win an autographed football from me and maybe a phone call that we can chat. But it's about really spreading some positivity with people, for those that need it, those that you care about. And that's what the whole campaign is really looking beyond yourself, above yourself. And, losing 2 Super Bowls, I love winning as much as anybody. I hate losing as much as anybody, probably more than anybody. But you learn from those losses. And for me, it was a way to step back and say, yeah, I lost 16. Now I got to get ready for that next season. Let's move forward and prepare even harder.
Absolutely. And we have an opportunity here to move forward and talk about some competition with a couple of really good offensive linemen and guys who were big parts of the game, big part of disseminating the game. Bring in Brian Baldinger. Get a Baldy breakdown with the Hall of Famer on, Baldy.
Patrick, me and Anthony run into each other from time to time down the field at certain events. And it doesn't take long, right, Ant, before we start talking offensive line techniques. There's just a fellowship and a brotherhood that exists between us. Anthony was coached by one of the great offensive line coaches in the history of this league, and Jim McAnally. And I know Anthony is a big believer in the techniques and fundamentals of the trenches.
I agree, Baldy. Jim McAnally came in as right out of college my rookie year. So I spent all 13 years with Jim, learning and improving. And then he spent over 30 years in the NFL, became one of the top offensive line coaches in the NFL. And technique, man, I tell people my 10th year, my 11th year, my 13th year, we would work on the stance before practice. We'd work on our first step in addition to game planning, because it was all about technique. And I coached 3 years of high school. It was all about technique. And even now when I work with guys, we just work technique. And that's, as you know, man, as offensive linemen, you can be big and strong and athletic, but if you don't have the right footwork and get out of position, some of the guys can recover with their athleticism. But I'd rather have a guy that takes that correct first step and is all balanced up and ready to go.
The techniques of the toolbox. You're going to take it to every
Baldy,
game.
But Baldy, you've
sure.
Let's
take a look at this
of the Bengals' #1 overall pick.
I went back to the national championship game and rewatched it, Anthony, and I was looking at the strength of Joe Burrow and what they did and why he threw 60 touchdown passes a year ago. And on this video, you're going to see that LSU, behind Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, they got 5 guys out, Anthony, almost every single play. And here, with pressure right in his face, he took the check down. You know, you can't go broke by taking, a profit on every single play right there. Now, here's the first touchdown of the game. He's going to get his 3 wide receivers out. The tight end in the back are also going to get out. So it's going to clean up the picture as he really takes a peek at that safety up at the top and the nickel back at the top off of the play action fake. He's going to freeze them. And as soon as he sees the one-on-ones across the board right there and that safety looking at him, he takes the outside shot to Jamar Chase, which turned out to be, the first touchdown of the game for LSU, and he got the crowd going crazy. Here's a mirrored routes on the outside off a play action fake right here. And you're going to see him just look off the safety right here and make the right throw. And this is the other part to him, Anthony. He is very accurate with the ball. Not the strongest arm, but he can put it in great placement. This is just an RPO, which I'm sure Cincinnati will run with Zach Taylor. As soon as that safety drops down to stop that run, he pulls it out. He's got a quick release. He gets the ball to Chase right there, right location, so he can do some damage after the catch. And then finally here, the touchdown that put LSU on top of Clemson right here. I mean, 5 out right now. They've got a spy on him, Isaiah Simmons. He recognizes it. Chase is a little slow off the bump here, Anthony, but look at the location of this ball. Yeah. And as I kind of bring you in here, Anthony, I mean, you protected Ken Anderson. You protected Boomer Esiason. How important is it for that quarterback to really know where he wants to go and get the ball out of his hands, Anthony, not hold it?
Baldy, you made a couple of great points. I mean, you made a lot of great points, but I'm going to take 2 of them. The first thing you said, he takes profit. He's not going to take a loss. So don't try to get everything all at one time if it's not there. Do your checkdowns, man. That was a lot of what Kenny Anderson did and Boomer. If they couldn't, if they were going to look deep and they couldn't get it, hit it the running back or the tight end short, take some profit. And then another thing you mentioned, not the strongest arm. To me, not having the strongest arm means that you are super, super intelligent. You know where everybody's going to be on every single play. One of the guys that I was unfortunate to go 0-4 in my career was number 16, Joe Montana. I wouldn't say he had the strongest arm that I ever saw, but he knew where everybody was all the time, and he would do the same thing as Kenny Anderson. If he didn't have Jerry Rice deep, he'd hit Roger Craig or Brent Jones on the short stuff. He wanted profit instead of taking losses. So you don't have to necessarily be able to throw the football through a wall. It's a matter of knowing where all your guys, your number 1 guy, your number 2, and being able to, if those first guys aren't open, to go to the last guy to check down. So to me, it shows a lot of intelligence on Joe's part that he can do that. And that's what excites me about him moving up
Anthony,
to the NFL level is exactly what you talked about.
Anthony, let's wind this conversation up with the way we always wind up a conversation. Taking a picture of our bent pinky right here, Anthony. Put it up there.
What are you talking about?
Let the people see what the trenches are all about. Exactly. I mean,
I love it. You can't, man. We're in it together. I love it.
I think there it is, the East and the West right there. Yeah. That's how we usually end up with conversations.
Who needs rings or jewelry when you've got a finger that can go below 32 degrees?
Exactly.
So we appreciate that. Appreciate the Hall of Famer, Anthony Muñoz, and Brian Baldinger as well.